In this training video, I'll be explaining OCI or on-campus interview schedule requests. So we'll do what we did with job postings where an employer has requested an OCI schedule, and then I'll also show you how to build one from scratch. Keep in mind that no OCI schedule is completely approved and completed without an attached job posting to it. So let's click in here and see the request. So this is from the company Demo Disney, the same company that we did the job request from. And then you just click on here to review the request. At the top, it'll show you the dates that the contact Mickey Mouse has chosen. So his priority date is September the 24th, and then the two alternate dates that he's picked. In case these conflict with other scheduling problems, you can give him these other dates. The model that we suggest is pre-select to alternate. What that means is that the company will create a interview schedule, and then all the people that, or all the applicants that have applied to the job, the employer will then go and select people that they wish to hold interviews with, and then once they've been selected and invited to hold an interview, the candidate can go into their system and sign up for an interview. And then in the alternate part, at the end of the schedule, if the employer selected a couple alternates, they'll also be able to jump on the schedule. If they're just coming not to hold interviews, but they just need a room to work in, you just hold a room reservation for them. Or if they just want to gather some resumes, you can do that as well. But pre-select to alternate is what we encourage all employers to do, because lots of times all the candidates that they invite to hold interviews, some will have conflicts or be out of town and not be able to make it, so it's good to have alternates as backups. They've asked to have 30-minute interviews, and their priority date is the 24th. So what you need to do is look at the number of rooms they've requested, which is 2, and then come down here and look at the rooms that have been booked for that day. If someone else has reserved, for instance, 413, it'll have a little star next to it, meaning that it's already been booked for that specific day. If not, then you can select 2 rooms. You also want to check that the company who owns that interview room, you want to make sure not to put their competitors in their room. So you wouldn't want to put like Dell in HP's room, or Chrysler in Ford's room. You want to double check that the competitors don't get into their competition's room. They've selected a full day schedule, which is just generically 8 to 5, with a break for the recruiter luncheon at 12 to 1. You can alternate this if they want to have some breaks in there. You can deselect a few minutes here and there, but the employer should let you know about that. And then multiple student interviews just means that a student that's been invited for a position, if you click no, they'll only be able to sign up for 1 interview slot, which is generally what you want to do. That way they can't sign up for a bunch of different slots. And then the type will depend on the position that they're hiring for. And the resume packet is back to what we did with the job postings, where if they want, it'll be generated at the end of the job posting itself, and they can have that either to be emailed directly or go in and collect that. Once you've reviewed the OCI schedule, go ahead and go back up to the top and click Assign Schedule. And then all the new requests are gone. So that schedule has been approved but not finalized because it doesn't have a job attached to it. So if you want to go to the company that we were just looking at, which was Demo Disney, you can see they have a job posting that is not listed as on-campus recruiting, and they also have an OCI schedule which has not been fully approved because it's waiting for a position to be attached. So what you want to do is go back to the job posting that is currently not OCR, click on it, and then at the top there should be a box here that says promote to OCR. And so if you click that, go ahead and click OK. After you promoted it to OCR, go back through, and now there's an application deadline, which will help in calibrating the whole schedule details, which we'll look at in a second. So let's say that they have until this Friday to apply, and then everything else should be the same if you click submit. Now the status has changed from a red X to a grayed out check mark, meaning it is OCR, but it hasn't been attached to a schedule yet. So if you go back to the schedule, and then you go to the positions tab right here, you should be able to select the job that is listed as OCR, which is right there, and then it'll pull up all the details of that job, and you click submit, and now your job has been attached to this schedule. And so if you go to the schedule details, then this is the thing that will probably take the most amount of time. So the schedule hasn't fully been approved yet, but what you need to do is look at the OCR dates. Depending on how much time the employer has given between the posting of the job, the application deadline, and then how soon they'll be here to hold interviews will determine the timeline that you'll give. Ideally, you'll want to have the job run for about a month, and then what this means, employer select, will be when the job has closed, so right after the resume submission deadline hits, the employer will be able to select which candidates he wants to hold interviews with, so the pre-selects. And then you want to give them about a week to do that, ideally. And then once they've selected, that ends, and those that have been invited to have interviews will be able to then sign up for their interviews. So you want to give them about a week as well, ideally. And then before the schedule closes, you're going to want to close the schedule 2 days before the employer is actually coming to campus. So they're here for the 24th of September. You want to close the schedule on the 22nd. And so usually you want to give the alternates maybe 1 or 2 days to be able to jump into the schedule if there's time. So you just want to play around with this, make sure that everyone has enough time to either select the candidates or sign up for an interview. And then once you've calibrated that, you can review again the rooms, look at the different time slots and the different breaks that the employer has requested. And then the last thing is back-to-back interviews, which means an employer holds 2 rooms, and then candidate will be in, say, 413 for a half hour, and then they'll directly go to 414 for the second half of their interview with a different recruiter. If you do this, you'll want to click yes, and then you'll have to have an even number of rooms, which we do. So you can scroll down and see the time span. It shows a bunch of different things because there's breaks and a break for lunch as well. You can add slots, but if you want to do back-to-back, which we selected, then you need to come and adjust a few other things. So if you go to schedule interviews, you have to link the 2 rooms together. So 413 will be linked with 414, and then it should automatically pop over there. So it'll know that if a student signs up for a 30-minute interview, it'll be, you can see them in split form, they'll have 15 minutes in 413 and then 15 minutes in here. So these students, one student would start here, one student would start here, and then they'll switch in 15 minutes, and then so on. You can also see the slot matrix, which will show you how many interview slots are in each room. So right now you have, because you're doing back-to-back interviews, you have 1 interview from 8 to 8:30 happening in each room. The only difference is it's a back-to-back, which you saw in the split view, which will break these down into 2 15-minute interviews. So once that's done, then the job will be live and students can start applying for the position, and the employer will start receiving their resumes, and then your schedule that you've created will continue as you've set it. Then all you have to do is click submit. You'll see that the check mark is now green, your schedule is completely approved, and you're done.